Hey, everybody. Welcome. Good to see all of you. Today is Saturday, January 29th, 2022. I am James Fauntleroy, your host of the Jaybefaunt Show. Welcome to all of you for coming in and being with me today. I'm very happy to talk to you all because I wanted to do a reaction to this person's channel for a while, and I can't wait to get to it. But first, I just wanted to say hello to all of you and just let you guys know that the JB Font channel is available on all major platforms like Anchor, Apple, Spotify, and Google Podcasts, and you can subscribe there. I am not doing a podcast for this episode today. This is going to be a YouTube only episode. The reason being is because number one, this episode will probably go beyond an hour. Number one. And number two, Anchor only allows me to broadcast for 1 hour. And so I've decided to just make this a YouTube only episode. So you will not be hearing this on Anchor at all. And if you typically listen to me on Anchor, sorry about that, but you're going to have to listen on this for now. But next week's episode will be on podcasts as well. And that will be my interview with the Bank sisters that I'll be having on here. So just to let you guys know, this is going to be a YouTube and Twitch, I should say Twitch only episode as well. So just to let you guys know, I'm part of Revolutionary Blackout Network, and you can find me on the JB Show on Sundays at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and on the roundtables at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on RBN. Please make sure to give this video a thumbs up if you are liking it. And if you don't like the episode, then you can give it a thumbs down. Hey, people have their opinions. And, like I said in Twitter yesterday, a great quote was that you can be the sweetest peach on a tree, but there are still going to be some people who just don't like peaches. And that's okay too. So just let you guys know that. If you are new to the channel and are feeling the urge, you can just, press down, shove down that subscribe button if you can. If you do, I might promise you cookies, or it could be sweet potato pie, or it could be pumpkin pie, or just a smile. Whatever you choose. I don't know if I can give it to you through the screen, but it's a thought that counts, right? I just want to give a shout out to all my patrons on Coffee. If you guys notice in the Chiron down here below, I have all my patrons on Coffee that are listed here, and I just want to give you guys a huge thanks, and I'm deeply grateful. I just hit 700 subs the other day, and I'm like super like elated about it. I went from 500 subs on January 1st to 700 subs today. So, and it's not the month of January is not even done. So, I'm like really like surprised. I'm deeply humbled by it. I wasn't expecting it to grow this fast, but for some reason, y'all like what I had to say, and I'm like shocked, but I'm happy. I'm grateful. So thank you so much to everyone who has been a contribution to this channel. Now, I as we all know, this is a very interactive program, and so the people in the chat are the people who I like to interact with. And so I just want to say hello to everybody who is in the chat. It's so good to see you all. Yes, James, this is happening. And yes, I am responding to all of you in real time. This is not a drill. It's not. It's good to see you. Yes, hello. Good to see you. I didn't go ate my baby. Good to see you. Miguel, good to see you as well. Peace, deuces to you. Holly, so good to see you. Robin, all right, nice to see all of you here with me today. Margot, my Margot. Oh, so good to see you, my sister. Good to see you in the chat as well. Raziel, fellow evil empire citizens. Dun, 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 dun. I'm not gonna rock out to that song. Who the hell am I? No, but it's so good to see you as well. I appreciate your being so regular in watching my content. I appreciate it very, very much. Um, censorship got me engaged. Unfortunately, I would have put this on the podcast, but I just don't feel like putting it up there. And plus, I just don't feel like having to mute myself whenever I have to play because I don't know if it's going to be a an echo. I really need to get a new microphone. I need to get a better setup. It's just my brother's broke, so I'm doing what I can with what I got. Mad scientist Mike, thank you so much for recommending that share. And oh yeah, by the way, if y'all watching right now, if you guys are on social media, whether it be Twitter, Facebook, Reddit, uh, what else are there? Hell, even if you're on ones where there are a bunch of right wingers, share it. Go ahead, please. Because I'm going to be talking about something that a lot of people need to hear, and I also am promoting a channel that I think people need to be tuned into. So yeah, and yes, peaches are delish when they're sweet. Yeah. Okay. Um, who else is in the chat? Joyce. You like that, right? You like that? Good to see you as well. Michelle. Shelly B71. Hey, how you doing? Mwah, good to see you. And everyone, mwah, forehead kisses. I love you all so much. Dee Dee. Good to see you. Da-da-da-da-da. No, I was kidding. I'm not gonna strip on camera. No, you guys don't want to. You don't want to see that. Anyways, so good to see all of you here. Now to get to today's show. So I am sure that a lot of you know of a particular channel that I typically like to talk about. They're a wonderful channel, and I hope JT sees this as me basically like kind of saying it louder for the people in the back for him. Because I hope that's how he sees this because I have a lot of respect for him and the content that he puts out. But I'm sure you guys have heard of the channel Second Thought. Now, as you can see, he don't really need much help from me because he got 1.2 million subscribers. Let's be real. But the more focus that I actually want to put out there is the content that he puts out there. And the latest video that he came out with, he comes out with videos every single Friday around 11-ish, around 11, 10:30, 11-ish, on Fridays. And I'm typically on dialysis at the time. And so I typically watch his videos like closer to the end of my dialysis treatment, which is always a treat because there's always really deep substantive content that that is really easily digestible and it's either 15 minutes or less. And so if you're somebody that's on the left that wants to help educate people, and you may not be able to come up with the best argument, or you may not be so or oratorily inclined, I do recommend using this channel to explain some socialist leftist concepts so that people are able to understand it a little bit better, especially people who may be liberal, conservative, or some people who are moving to the left, but they just don't know some of the ideas as well. This is also a great channel to be able to go off on. So I just want to recommend that. Um, so wait, sign my name too. What do you mean you want me? Oh, sing your name. Dee dee. Okay, I sang it, but I don't want your ears to bleed because I care about you. I don't want your ears to bleed. So, but yeah. This is all yeah, it's always it's a great channel. I agree. And but my focus was really on his this particular video. And the video is entitled How Capitalism Destroys Radical Movements. So, yes, we talk about people like Barack Obama that has destroyed movements because he definitely has a hand in that. But Barack Obama is just a puppet when it comes to destroying movements. Capitalism uses people like Barack Obama and many other people who are either liberal or sometimes even they call themselves as being on the left to really destroy movements by by certain means. So this is one of the videos that I actually enjoy, and I will be pausing in intervals to discuss this a little bit and also to interact with you to get your thoughts on what was being said as well. If you have not seen this, then great. Then this will be something new for you. And if you haven't watched any of Second Thoughts videos, I think you're going to like this. But also, to some of you who have seen it, what are your thoughts? If you're in the chat right now, comment what are your thoughts on this as we move along. And then if you're just watching this on the rewatch, then comment down below and tell me what did you think about some of the things that he had to say. Um, and of course, he always brings receipts, which one of the things I love. And so I just want to also preface this by saying I did see this yesterday, but I also wanted to discuss this topic today because it actually kind of goes in line with some of the current events that have been going on throughout the week. So, without further ado, I will start this video. And please turn your volume up because I hope this is loud enough. And by the way, thank you to JT for creating this video. You have my respect, sir. And go!
This episode and others like it are made possible by the generous support of my patrons on Patreon. We just did a major overhaul of our patrons-only Discord server, so if you'd like to join our growing community and get early access to every video, consider becoming a patron at patreon.com/secondthought. Remember when these videos started with rhetorical if statements? Me neither. Anyway, if you ever looked at a screen during 2020, you probably saw this image. It's the Black Lives Matter mural in DC. And like many other things I start my videos with, I'll probably be talking about something else in like 30 seconds. For now, though, I want to talk about this mural, because it's one of the most obvious political stunts in recent years. Commissioned in June of 2020 by Washington, D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser, the Black Lives Matter mural accomplished two things. It made Apple Maps briefly relevant again, and it set me on the path of writing a 20-ish minute video about political recuperation and Gramscian hegemony 2 years later.
Now, just to let you guys know, I live in Orlando, Florida. They also did that in downtown Orlando, except for it's black, red, and green. So just to let you guys know, it happened in my city too.
Other than that, not so much. Well, sorry, it did do one more thing. For Mayor Bowser, the mural was a very effective way to co-opt and neutralize Black Lives Matter without hearing any of the movement's demands, and actually giving herself the freedom to move in the complete opposite direction. I can't believe I almost forgot to mention that. Because at around the same time the mural went up, Bowser's proposals for 2021 included increasing police budgets and doubling the size of the cadet program. That is, when she wasn't busy spending time on TV proposing her, let's say, creative interpretation of what defund the police really means. You're gonna laugh, but I clearly misunderstood what defund the police meant the first time around. Oh man, I am embarrassed. Of course, the DC wing of BLM was quick to point out Bowser's hypocrisy and call the mural out for what it is, a pointless stunt.
Now, just to let you guys know, what was one of the demands of BLM was defund the police. And also, for people who do say Black Lives Matter, especially a lot of politicians, some of them last year decided to give more money to the Capitol Police after January 6th. Despite the Capitol Police letting the people who were in the Capitol on January 6th, they let them in. The police let them in. The police let them in. The police let them in. And yet they decided to give them more money, even though the police betrayed their trust. And these same police officers, during the protests for Black Lives Matter in Washington, D.C., were bashing the heads in of these same protesters. They didn't bash the heads into those people at January 6th, though. Do Black lives really matter to them? Because they either voted for it or they voted present. And by the way, the Capitol Police got their money. So do they really agree that our lives actually matter? Let's continue.
And they're right. But it's also a lot more than that. This mural fits into the more general topic of political recuperation and the idea of governing through consent. Let's do a video about that. Because the truth is that symbols like the mural and more generally quote-unquote culture matter a lot in politics. Even though I had a lot of fun being a cheeky little guy and saying the mural didn't achieve anything, I only said that because, well, I wanted you to like me. And because I meant that it didn't help achieve the goals of the BLM movement in any way.
By the way, he's right. The George Floyd Policing Act actually gave more money to the police instead of defunding them and reallocating those resources to disadvantaged neighborhoods so that they can actually dive down the causes of crime, by the way, which people commit crimes of opportunity and crimes of desperation. But instead of doing that, they increase the people who would punish people for committing crimes of opportunity and crimes of desperation instead of increasing the opportunity and decreasing the desperation. So, what in the world is that accomplishing by just painting a mural and just saying it or having a hashtag in your bio? Because you can tell me as much as till you're blue in the face that our lives really matter. But your actions speak louder than words. I know it is a very old statement, but it's very tried and true. And I know this is a gross analogy, but do not give me a pile of shit and put sprinkles on top of it and tell me that it's chocolate ice cream. Because that's exactly what you're doing. Let's go to the chat really quick. Because you guys are some brilliant people, and I know y'all up to the game right now. This is like the list of Supreme Court candidates. Any criticism of their corporate-friendly judicial way, and boom, you're a bigot. Yes. And this is why it's up to people like me, and people like Sabby, and Nick, and Josana, and CJ, and Rome, and people like Kim Brown, and people like the Banks sisters, and people like Kamali, and people like Afeni, and so many other of us who are black and on the left to call the BS out when it happens. The reason why we have to call it out is, let's be real, if somebody white calls it out, they get hit with, you're a racist, you're a bigot, even if they're right on the actual merits of the argument. Because that's what liberals do. I have to call people like Barack Obama out. Sabby has to call out people like Kamala Harris. And we have to call things like this out too. Because if they're not truly actually doing things for black people, then what the hell are you doing? What? Gary, good to see you. Joe Biden is radical in the fact that he's first crypto president, crypto racist, crypto fascist, crypto. Yeah, yeah. And I have to kind of censor my language a little bit because the YT gods don't like when I say certain things. If it were a genuine mural, it would have been down in 2 hours or less. I'm not sure. I'm not sure exactly uh, what you exactly mean. Are you meaning that it would have been painted, very quickly? Um, I'm not exactly sure. How many gallons of paint could have gone to something that's a bit more substantive, like housing in poor black and brown neighborhoods for people that need housing, and that housing could be built because we need a housing first culture. Because if you really thought that Black lives really mattered, then you would actually make sure that people who are homeless, especially black and brown people, are actually housed, because that's what I think. Robin says, inclined to contend Yankeedom has no culture of its own, borrowed practices following immigration waves over the fabric of time. All that is really organic, as I see it, is the narcissism. Very well said. And they'll go through some motions but never walk the talk of it. Yeah. Jenna Colby says, a bridge collapsed in my city. The president came here and used the collapsed bridge as a backdrop of how he didn't know there were so many bridges in Pittsburgh and the police will get more funding. you know, we were supposed to have an infrastructure bill. Supposed to. But we all know that Joe Biden really didn't want the infrastructure bill. He allowed it to fail. It's not that he didn't want it to fail, and oh well, just things didn't work out the way we want. No, you allowed it to fail. Because trust me, if you really wanted something to get done, you would have gotten it done. Just like, I don't know, maybe the defense budget. Need I say more? So let's continue, because this is a really good video.
In fact, it actively hid the betrayal of the movement's demands entirely. But it still mattered a lot as a cultural symbol, because ultimately, it was an integral part of the liberal co-optation of the Black Lives Matter movement and its watering down to a vague demand for recognition. It allowed Democrats like Bowser to remain as legitimate political figures in the public eye without actually representing the more radical wing of their electorate or carrying out its demands.
And what did Kit Cabello say about last week from Heartlands Media about Mayor Lori Lightfoot? She's guilty of the same things. Look, I like what Dr. Cornel West said. Black faces in high places. Some of them slave catchers that were helping the master, some of them people were black. So they are literally going along with this white supremacist system to keep capitalism in power and keep the rest of us in check, just so that these people, it being the politicians, the corporate masters, the bankers, the central bankers, all those people at the top, it can keep them in power. That's basically what it is. Traitors to their own liberation, basically. And so this is what this looks like. Mayor Bowser and people like that Also, don't forget Congress. You got a lot of them in Congress. Name some names, baby. Like God, the cream of wheat man. Um shit, Jim Clyburn. Jim Clyburn's one. Jamal Bowman's another. And people are like, Jamal Bowman's part of the Justice Democrats. He's part of the squad. Yeah, him too. Because basically it's co-opted. They co-opt the movements, and then next thing you know, the movement dies. Mission accomplished. Yeah, he looked like the cream of wheat man. Golly, man. These people frustrate me. I'm tired. Let's go.
In that sense, the mural did actually achieve quite a lot.
Mhm.
In politics, this kind of co-opting and watering down of radical ideas is sometimes called recuperation. Okay, really it's only called that by this guy, Guy Debord, badass smoker and French philosopher of the mid-20th century. Who is this nerd? Well, he wrote a book, so now here we are. In his book, The Society of the Spectacle, and in the Manifesto for the Situationist International, which he also wrote, Guy launches what academics call an attack, and what everybody else calls a couple paragraphs of words on what he considers the new era of capitalism. Capitalism 2, Consumerist Boogaloo. Following World War II, Guy became concerned with how his native France adopted consumerist culture, a society in which the solution to all the ills of modern life are channeled through the acquiring of mass-produced commodities. Guy described how, in the search for ever-growing markets, a society in which basic needs were generally met for most people turned to the consumption of not really necessary stuff. Buying not really necessary stuff became a new fundamental economic need, but also a basic human need. In a consumerist world, market actors and advertisements are no longer trying to convince you to want the hip new FM radio. They are telling you that you need it, in the same way that you need food on the table.
Yo, peep this. I used to be in sales. Oh, there's an echo? Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, okay. Oh, it went away. Okay. Sorry about that. But look, I used to be in sales, and real talk, they would push you to create the demand instead of just appealing to the demand. So, you know, and that's the crazy part. You have to literally create the demand. It is so bad. Look, and people thought because I typically have decent interpersonal skills, people would think, "Oh, well, you're doing so great, James." But my sales were down the toilet because people just were just looking. They didn't really want anything at that point in time. But they were trying to get me to create the demand. And so, like, that's just capitalism, man. Let me continue. If there is a echo, then I will mute my mic. Let me mute it anyway. I'll just do that.
In short, ads create new needs. Beyond this incredibly simplistic description of what advertising tries to do, however, Guy explains that it's not an actual belief in the need to own the latest piece of tech that motivates us to buy it. It's a need for the way these commodities make us look. In other words, appearances become essential to consumption, and by extension, to all of social life. It's all about appearances. Everything becomes about the spectacle. You need stuff not because you actually need it to live, nor do you need it because you're tricked into thinking you need it to live, but because you need to keep up appearances.
Who does that sound like? Who does that sound like right now? What political institution does that sound like? Keeping up appearances for the need to seem more relevant and viable. Like, what the hell? Gary says, "Do it always seems to go, you don't know what you got until it's gone. They suppress freedom of speech and put up a totalitarian state." Michelle says, "I was tech support for an ISP. People would call in pissed off because their internet was offline. I was supposed to sell VoIP on every call if they didn't have it. VoIP requires internet." Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Is it voice over internet phone or something like that? I don't know exactly what that is. I'm sorry, I'm bad with acronyms. Robin says, "We peddle every petty indulgence as necessary while pricing the basic necessities out of reach for growing swaths. Cash comes. I'm sorry, crash comes. I ponder how to keep the peeps from the pain of the blast." Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you said it. Ding, 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 ding. Troy C got it. You are our next contestant on The Price is Right. Come on down. Absolutely. And yes, Raziel, we are a victim of this mindset. We all get to a point where we're just like we fall for the ads. Look, I'm gonna be real. I fell for an ad that was supposed to be one that shrunk your pores. It's that one was like green, and then it looks like over time it tries to turn like a little bit of specks of black, and then you wipe it off, and your skin looks extremely silky smooth. Yeah, I fell for that. Me, James. Yes, go ahead. Clown me in the comments. You know, bash me in the comments for that. JB, you shouldn't have fell for it. I did. I'm sorry. Worst $20 I ever spent in my life. I fell for it because I wanted smoother skin. I wanted nicer skin. Meanwhile, people like Afeni already told me how to get smoother skin, and I need to listen to her more often. I'm sorry, Afeni. Forgive me. I was trying to go, the easy route. And now I have a stick of green shit in my bathroom that doesn't work. That's a waste of goddamn money. JB, what the hell were you thinking, bro? Ah, voice over internet protocol. Yeah, we don't need that. Just give us municipal broadband. Your skin already looks silky smooth. You're saying it doesn't work. Number one, it doesn't work because yeah, it just doesn't work. And especially if you have facial hair, you better watch the hell out. Because that stuff is hard to get out. I damn near had to shave my beard off just to get that stuff off. But um, yeah, this is not a high definition camera. Trust and believe that. Thank God for less resolution. Y'all be scared as hell right now. Whew. Anyways, let's continue with the conversation. All right, all right, all right.
It looks good to have stuff, and the specific stuff you have says something about you that you want others to know. Alright, big deal. So far, we haven't really gone any further than your boomer dad talking about how dumb ripped jeans are. But for Guy, those jeans really do matter, because not only are they, like other consumer products, capable of making us feel really bad, reduced to our appearances, and alienated from ourselves, but the philosophy of appearances that this image-based consumption cultivates ends up becoming a huge part of our society, and therefore of our politics. For Guy, then, politics become dominated by how appearances are manipulated without substance ever really needing to support them. Today, the classic example of this is Donald Trump and how he convinced some 60 million people that a billionaire real estate mogul was somehow not part of the elite. He played on his appearance as an outsider to hide the reality of another political elite who would spend his time in office growing the power of his wealthy buddies with things like tax cuts for the rich.
And even conservatives are duped by the same shit. Interesting how that works, right?
But even if he's the most egregious example of what Guy calls the spectacle in politics, the same framework of analysis applies to Hillary Clinton and Joe Biden, who both challenged Trump mainly by cultivating their own image, that of responsible, level-headed politicians, instead of any meaningful contradiction to his policies, many of which still haven't been reversed since Biden took office. The same goes for every other politician, even the ones you like. And the same goes for every late night show host who spent every minute of a 4-year term on how dumb Trump's hair looked, or his daily outrageous tweet, far more often than on the policies he carried through Congress. This is what Guy calls the society of the spectacle, in which appearances take on this disproportionate influence and can come to replace the substance of material reality in many cases.
Now, you guys heard that, right? They focus so much on the image of Trump. Oh my God, his mean tweets. Oh my God, he said this about this person. He said this about that person. Instead of focusing on what he was doing. Kids in cages, right? Trying to ban Muslims from entering the country. Talking shit about, undocumented people and immigrants, keeping Guantanamo Bay open, bombing people in other countries. The people on the right were duped. They're duped by capitalism and they're duped by this asshat. But the liberals are the same. That's the thing that people don't get about it, because guess what? Who's doing the exact same stuff? Joe Biden. The exact same thing. But what do you see from the media now? Oh, Joe Biden, he's the next FDR. Oh, did you see? Oh, he's trying to he's for gay rights. And he's trying to get a black woman to be on the Supreme Court. It's all about appearances, never about the actual substance and improving the material conditions of people that are their constituents. And then you sit here and wonder why shit doesn't get better. Our country is like a really nice looking Bugatti that doesn't even have an engine inside. Hell, the transmission is shot. So on the outside, it looks beautiful. Beautiful. Everybody's like, oh, a Bugatti. Let me get up in that. And they sit in it and they take pictures with it, right? And it looks all good, right? I'm in the US of A, land of opportunity. But turn over that engine. Turn it over. Go ahead. And then you start to see how worthless the system really is. Because you're going to hear click, 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 and ain't nothing going on. Why? Appearances. No material wealth. Hundreds of thousands of people die every single year because they do not have health care. We have the largest prison population on earth. Our planet is gone to shit. What else? So basically, you're in a Bugatti without an engine. That's basically what this is. Homeless people left and right. You got people who are indigenous that had been subject to genocide and their land stolen from them. Poor white people in Appalachia are going through a lot of shit and people just don't seem to give a damn. I wonder how many people realize that America's actually the villain in the movies. Let me go to the chat. I fear we're selling out our direct experience to the virtual. This video is great. Checking the library for that book. Someday I'll love to fill my free little library with books like this. That's very, yeah. Do what you can. Fiber to the curb is what we want. Nationalize the cable. Fuck the owners. Our infrastructure. Yeah. Trump is how low you got to go to make the rest of these posers look like something you think you want, or at least accept it if you don't like it. During the Great Depression, people removed engines from cars and pulled car with a horse. They couldn't afford the cost of gas or to run the car. Appearances. Thank you. Thank you. Shall we continue? Yes, we shall.
But believe it or not, we haven't even gotten to the good part yet. We haven't talked about revolution. Because there's more to politics than politicians trying to get you to vote for them. There's also a bunch of people in power who benefit from the society of the spectacle and use it to make sure their power doesn't get wrestled away from them. When the dominant class is confronted with radical, subversive, or revolutionary opposition, movements like Black Lives Matter, for example, using the power of appearances comes in really, really handy. That is recuperation. The ability for members of the dominant class to twist and appropriate revolutionary appearances for their own benefit, absorbing revolutionary sentiments into their fold and ensuring their survival as the dominant class doesn't get challenged because they've neutered the radical content that those images used to communicate. In Guy's own words, the ruling ideology sees to it that subversive discoveries are trivialized and sterilized, after which they can be safely spectacularized. In the case of DC Mayor Muriel Bowser, her appropriation of the Black Lives Matter or Defund the Police slogans does exactly this, and helps her achieve two things. One, it sterilizes the message. Defund the police is no longer about actually defunding the police, silly. It's about reform, more training, and more money. Black Lives Matter is no longer about actually ensuring the value of Black lives is respected by distributing wealth more equally, abolishing the violent carceral state and the militarized police, or ensuring that the institutions that guarantee a decent life are properly funded everywhere.
It's a method of defanging. That's all it is. They saw how strong it was. They saw the numbers. Because even Nick from RBN will tell you this, that the numbers shot up for support for defunding the police. And guess what? People like Muriel Bowser, they saw that. And they were like, oh, no, 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 no. We have to take the teeth out of this one. We got to take the teeth out. And so this is what they do. They co-opt and they defang and they sterilize because they don't want it to happen. Meaning they don't want liberation for black people. They don't want liberation for workers. They don't want liberation for anybody. They are status quo managers. And part of that management program is to make sure that your life stays as shitty as possible. You're welcome. You're welcome. Is your life shitty? Well, yeah. Have you tried to make changes to it so that it improves? Yes. But has it improved? No. Who do you think? The establishment. And I also include many people who consider themselves progressive to be in that establishment as well. Yeah, I include them as well. So, what really recourse do they have? A non user, good morning. Nice to see you. Nice to have you. All the names of the victims of imperialism, it's going to take us hundreds of years just to name them all. Gary says, just be happy about whoever the fuck wins the Super Bowl and shut the fuck up. That's basically what it is. Just consume your entertainment and shut up. You know, don't go out there and make demands of us. Just go and make your votes for who's on The Voice. Look, I really don't care if you want healthcare for all so that you can get your gender reassignment surgery. Go and sit your ass down and watch some more RuPaul's Drag Race. That's basically what it is. They want to put BLM and a rainbow flag on a B 52 bomber and then drop bombs on brown people in other countries. That's basically what it is. When are people going to wake up? God, I love this channel. Thank you, JT. Thank you. Please continue.
Black Lives Matter is just about saying that Black Lives Matter, and that's it. It's literally just about the spectacle. But that's not all. The second thing this appropriation does is it provides a safeguard to her power and the power she defends. That of a white supremacist nation that can only function with a heavily racialized distribution of property. Now that the radicality of the words Black Lives Matter and defund the police have been completely neutralized, Bowser can use them all she wants. And because she said the words, painted them on the street, and paid lip service to the movement, she can somewhat credibly position herself on the side of the revolutionaries while firmly maintaining the oppressive status quo they are revolting against, effectively killing the subversive movement. It's nothing more than a rhetorical trick. Guy Debord would say Black Lives Matter has been recuperated. This whole approach to government isn't entirely new. Decades before Guy was born, another political theorist had figured out that culture was more than a rhetorical trick. Guy Debord would say
Remember this? Remember it. Black people, how did this help you? What did this do for us? People, people. This is what they do when they don't want to give you shit. This is the equivalent of a parent eating ice cream with a 1 year old, and they still have some ice cream left in the bowl, and they look at the 1 year old and go, all gone. There's no more. All gone. When you damn well know there's still a shit ton of ice cream in that bowl. You just want them to think, oh, sorry, there's no more. There's nothing for you. Putting on appearances just to make it look like they support you. Republicans will tell you straight to your face that they don't give a shit about you, and Democrats will lie to you and say that they give a shit about you when they really don't. Ultimately, both parties don't give a shit about you. Did my ice cream analogy work, by the way? I wonder if it worked. I don't know. I'm kind of about that one, but you know. Yeah, I do need a 1 hour stream just for all the lean ins too. Yeah, I tend to lean a lot. Yeah. Somebody actually told me that they actually said they don't like when I do that. I don't know. I mean, Uncle Ward. Can't say cloth on. I can hear your voice saying it. Can't say cloth on white people will save us all. Seething. I was, yes. 48 hours after Trump poses with the Bibles, the dim. Donald Trump poses in front of a church with a Bible, and the Democrats said, hold my beer. Look, I'm laughing because you have to laugh to keep yourself from crying. Because that's what it is. Because they really don't care about you. And this is how they do it. And this stream is less for the people like you that are watching right now, and more for the people that haven't really observed this and put two and two together. And this is one of the reasons why I say for people to share this stream. By the way, the link to this video is also in the description, just to let you all know. So if you guys want to watch it yourself and share it with other people, so that they're cop up to they're up to and they peep the game of what's really going on. Because like I said in a few videos before, they're playing you. They're playing you like a PS4. They got you all engaged on the surface. Like the consciously says, they got you lost in the sauce. Man, burn them cloths. Burn them. Because them cloths were used for nefarious purposes. And I'd rather get my kente cloth from somebody who's in Africa who actually makes kente cloth. That shit was probably mass produced.
Black Lives Matter has been recuperated. This
Perfect timing for him to say that while closing in on Miss Ice Cream $24,000 in refrigerators herself.
This whole approach to government isn't entirely new. Decades before Guy was born, another political theorist had figured out that culture was a major part of the ways governments and dominant classes self-preserve and govern. That guy is Antonio Gramsci, and he had an idea he called hegemony. For Gramsci, a leftist Italian revolutionary imprisoned under Mussolini, governments and dominant groups maintain their status in two big ways. There's the obvious one, the way governments have always run the show, violent coercion. Your armed forces, your police officers, your prisons, and all the laws and regulations that establish and enforce the rules of government above you. That's the obvious way that those in power stay in power. Nothing very surprising there. Gramsci's innovation, which has honestly lost a lot of flair after like 90 years, is that violent kind of coercion is only being used to discipline people who don't consent to the way society is organized and to the rule of the powerful. The problem for those in power is that if too many people don't consent, and your only solution is beating up those people, you run the risk of starting a revolution. And then there are gonna be way too many people to beat up, and you might lose your beaten stick. So
So this is why they do kind of a bit of two, but every single time there's a movement to actually improve the material conditions of ourselves, what do they do to us? Now, if it's right wing and to keep the same system in and you go out and protest, oh, well, the police are marching with you. They're protecting you. But if we want to improve our material conditions in this system, guess what? Comply, comply, comply. Stop resisting, stop resisting.
dominant classes don't just repress those who don't consent. They also use the domain of culture, what Gramsci calls civil society, to manufacture consent in the general population and suppress more subtly the kinds of thinking that may upset their interests. Media and political institutions, the vast majority of which are less accountable to the general population than to the financial interests that fund them, can serve as the means by which this consent is manufactured. It's not usually going to be done with outright lies, but with more subtle biases that frame stories a certain, at times dishonest way, or focus on one issue while ignoring another, or transform the debate or change the language with which it is understood, or make it about something else, or platform some people and not others. Ultimately, however that consent is manufactured, the main goal will be to present one narrative as dominant and most easily agreed with, and its contradiction, which could threaten established power, as disagreeable. The upshot, if you're one of these people in power, is that the more people speak in your terms and agree with the basic premises that keep you in power, the less you'll have to repress them with guns and barred windows. To be clear, all forms of media will have bias. There is no such thing as absolute neutrality in media, as I constantly tell people in the comments. The difference with manufacturing consent is that the assumptions that communicate bias aren't framed explicitly as such. They're presented as if they were common sense, or at least they're never explicitly challenged. The result is that kind of bias can become almost imperceptible to a general audience when these unchallenged, mostly hidden biases are repeated across the entire landscape of the media we consume and in civil society more generally.
I am biased. Let's be real. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I am perfectly objective. Oh, the system that I would have been subject to and a victim of, as well as the experiences and environment that I've been privy to and subject to, influence a bias. And that bias leans, hell, it lays flat towards giving the power to the people instead of towards these oppressors. So I'm gonna be real with y'all. If y'all are trying to look for something completely objective, objective in an absolute sense, guess what? You're never gonna find it. Never. Because each and every single person in media, including mainstream media, have a bias. Except their bias is more corporatist, right wing, imperialist, and capitalist. And as we've noticed from the corporatist, imperialist, capitalist, white supremacist type of leanings that they have, what has it done to the people largely across this world? It has led to extreme oppression. So, therefore, from my somewhat objective point of view, it is best for us to go in the opposite direction. And so that's one of the reasons why my bias is more for a liberated, egalitarian society that has less authoritative nature to it. The majority of the people and the masses that have a means of promoting and facilitating life, they should be the ones in control. That's why I'm a socialist. So, yeah, that's one of the things I wanted to bring out. So, there is no such thing as absolutely objective media.
This is cultural hegemony, the absolute and incredibly subtle domination of culture by one group. Guy called this the rigged arena of official culture, and Gramsci's analysis uncovered its relevance and maintenance by the upper class, the state, and their institutions. Nowadays, it's not hard to see the constant debate of the phrase defund the police, three words which could not be easier to understand, participating in this muddying of the water and pacification of a more radical idea. This form of government, that operates through cultural institutions, sanctioned political debates, and the recuperation of subversive politics, can have incredibly powerful consequences. Not only does it maintain the kinds of oppressive power structures that we all know and love from your classic capitalist society in the short term, it can create what another nerd calls capitalist realism. This is the last nerd, I promise. According to Mark Fisher, yet another political theorist, capitalist realism is the widespread sense that not only is capitalism the only viable political and economic system, but also that it is now impossible even to imagine a coherent alternative to it. Capitalism becomes common sense. Here again, according to Fisher, the interests of businesses, which are usually framed as the interest of the economy, are so dominant in our culture that we come to accept truly horrible realities as inevitable and uniquely real. While the neoliberal era has produced endless suffering around the world, the possibility of global human annihilation by climate change, and countless wars and conflicts for profit, billions of people still justify the integrity of the global capitalist economy because it has become incredibly difficult to imagine an alternative. Hey, it might be horrible, but it's the best we've got. At least that's how we've come to rationalize it. And for that, we have to thank, at least in part, the persistent efforts of recuperation that have hollowed out even the most revolutionary of movements and made them agreeable to the persistence of a capitalist economy. In the neoliberal present, the only solutions that are considered valid and enter the public debate are those which merely mitigate what capitalist societies portray as externalities of economic production. The problems of a capitalist society aren't really problems with capitalism itself, of course, just its execution. They're externalities, unintended consequences, nothing more. We're led to believe we can really fix these issues without challenging the overall economic order. But many of these issues are so intimately tied to the pillars that uphold capitalism that they won't go away without those pillars crumbling too. Under the logic of capitalist realism, There is no abolishing capitalism, or even considering that as an option when trying to solve its problems. The only legitimate way to quote unquote solve climate change, for example, is staying squarely within market logic, buying eco-friendly things, or watching your individual carbon footprint, or creating new carbon markets to try to gamify pollution. It's not that an economy that needs to grow endlessly forever and constantly deliver at least 3% gains to shareholders will inevitably extract more from the earth to produce more to sell more. It's just that you're not buying enough paper straws. Save the turtles, you selfish jerk. Under the logic of capitalist realism, entire alternative economic models are cast aside as utopian, as jokes, as impossible. You'll hear things like, how can you really defend communism? Don't you know every time someone tried it, it failed? But don't pay attention to all of its successes or the ways capitalist societies are failing you right now. Those we can actually fix. This economic model is different. It can actually achieve all that utopian stuff. The fact that it's dominated the global economy for centuries and these issues have only gotten worse doesn't mean anything. Trust me. Part of the tremendous power of capitalist realism is that it can exist side by side with the empty symbols that promote its abolition. Endlessly co-opted movements for liberation become watered down until they're just prefixes or qualifiers for various parts of the capitalist economy, the way you'll often hear about green capitalism, rainbow capitalism, or black capitalism. Media like Squid Game, or Parasite, or Don't Look Up become that week's water cooler talk. Movements and phrases like Black Lives Matter may have become a fixture of our modern society, but in many ways it's because they've lost a lot of their radicality. Not because they've been truly accepted or achieved any of their goals, but because they've successfully been defanged by an advanced system of recuperation to not really matter or be perceived as an actual threat to the social order they challenged.
So it's funny because a lot of times when you try to talk about getting rid of capitalism, people are like, well, what are we supposed to replace it with? Because, they can't perceive a system outside of capitalism. It's just like they just can't think of it because they're so used to this system that to them it's like, well, there's nothing better than this. But every single time you try to do something better than this, then what do they do? Look at what they did to the DPRK. Look what they did to Cuba. Look what they did to the Soviet Union. Look what they're doing to Venezuela. They're trying to do better systems. Look what they did to all these other countries where they actually led coups in order to get rid of their democratically elected leaders. And then next thing you know, oh, they're doing horribly because you put them under capitalism, you idiot. But apparently, that's the only system. It's basically God tier system. Thank you for that. One dime. Oh, thank you very much. We have never had capitalism in our lifetimes. We have had corporate welfare system. No, we've had capitalism. Capitalism is corporate welfare because it tries to extract any type of resource that it can from anywhere it can, and it also extracts resources from government as well. So that's capitalism. That's capitalism in a nutshell. People keep voting for Dems in their party because they believe they can fix them. Thing is that Dems are part of the capitalist system, and so their value is in preserving a capitalist system. And so, therefore, any type of system that goes beyond the capitalist system would mean that their demise, and they are not interested in that. So, this is one of the reasons why they are scared of anybody that is truly on the left. the people who they have in their party that consider themselves on the left, that is the farthest that they will go, and even then, that is still too far. And they have reeled them in as a means to keep the system and the status quo as viable. So they don't want to have anything that's better for the people. It's just better for the people who bribe them. You can say that it works like a parasite, but I also say that it works like a cancer cell. It grows and grows and grows until it consumes its host to the point where the host, it consumes the host into oblivion. Capitalism is a system that uh, grows infinitely on a planet with finite resources. And so it won't stop until the earth is completely destroyed. That's what capitalism does. The thing is, the primary check on capitalism really is humans within it that are suffering. And we're kind of like the white blood cells that have to go after a virus. And so we're trying to get rid of it. But you have so many people that are co opted by the system to the point where they try to make it seem like that they're fighting, but really it's just a trick. And you see by a lot of these uh, Democrats, liberals, what have you, is that they are in the process of tricking us so that we do not fight for a better future. They're fighting for a better future for those who are wealthy, but they're not fighting for a better future for us. And why are they doing that, fighting for a better future for the wealthy? Because they deem the wealthy as better than you. They believe that. They believe that they were able to exploit people better, so therefore they're better than you. And like I said in a tweet yesterday, the whole phrase of saying, well, you can do whatever you want as long as you put your mind to it in this country, you can do anything and go anywhere. That's true. But what they do not tell you is that what are you willing to do to get there? And many of us are not willing to kill or to oppress to get there. So, therefore, this is why we're still in the situation that we're in. You're not willing to step on top of somebody to get to where you need to go. Well, then I guess you're going to stay poor. And that's the realism of what this country is all about. If you're not willing, just like for instance, look at what they're doing to other countries. You're not willing to do imperialism to be like us, then guess what? Then we're gonna do the same thing to you, and we're gonna wipe you out. This country thrives on survival of the fittest. Basically meaning that if you can survive under my tyranny, then okay, you're fit to live. That is sociopathic as fuck. And most of us aren't sociopaths. But the thing is, we're being blinded so much that we just become apathetic and we just allow the sociopathy to continue.
I recognize that this video, like most of the videos on this channel, is kind of doing the same thing. My job is taking some pretty radical ideas and turning them into entertainment for you, turning them into something that you can pretty passively consume. Sadly, these videos, just like most everything else, are part of the spectacle too. We've never met, we're not actually communicating, and even if I think I'm doing a pretty good job, which I do, of course, I'm very full of myself, trust me, even if I think I'm doing a good job, I am still mostly talking ideas at you, not with you, and without an immediate or concrete plan in mind. As essential as I think what I'm doing is, I'm just one guy on the internet, and I hope that you will fill in the gaps and carry what you learn in these videos into the real world to actually improve things. Fight for change and make it reality. Otherwise, what's the point? Let's give it a shot. I mentioned at the beginning of this video that this kind of content is made possible by my patrons on Patreon. As you can probably imagine.
And don't forget to subscribe to him and if you guys would like to support him on Patreon, please make sure to do that. But that's pretty much the end of the video. But that was a great video, and I recommend anybody that wants to give at least somewhat a surface level of what's really going on. Not extremely in depth, but something to give people a great idea. I recommend that you guys that you all do that. You guys share that. And yeah, it's a corporate medical welfare tyranny system. Yeah, it's true. But and that's one of the reasons why I wanted to share, because it was a great conversation. And a lot of times, those of us, like for instance, as you all know, I'm part of the Revolutionary Blackout Network, and we talk about things like we actually had a general strike summit. We try to talk to people about different solutions. If you know of solutions, then I welcome you on my channel to be able to talk about these solutions, because the thing is that we have. I hate living in the hood sometimes, but but sometimes we talk about the the solutions, and sometimes these solutions people don't really know that much about. And part of coming up with a solution is knowing what the problem is. And a lot of times people just don't know what the problem is. That's one of the reasons why I have a channel, because I want people to know what the problem is. And this is one of the reasons why I'm excited for the growth of my channel. Not because, oh, I'm going to get more money, or, oh, I'm going to get more notoriety. I don't care about that. What I honestly, really, truly care about is the ideas going out there for people to, number one, wake up. Number two, know what the solutions are. Number three, be motivated to put them into action. That's pretty much it. Because without that, then my life doesn't change. And I want to also put some of these things to action myself, so that our lives change for the better. Because my life can get as good as I want it to be, but it's not going to be good for me, because deep down on the inside of my heart, inside my head, I'm going to be bothered, because I'm going to still keep on seeing people suffer. What kind of paradise is that? Why would I want to be in a beautifully furnished glass house with everything, and yet all around this glass house I'm seeing people suffer day in and day out for time in memoriam? What kind of paradise is that? That is no paradise. That's sociopathy. Being willing to see people suffer, and yet you still have it good. Like, no. You don't, that means you don't actually care about the people who are around you. One thing that people need to get across their brains: we are all of us are part of one another. I don't care if you are religious, spiritual, or atheist. In each one of those elements, you realize that we're all part of each other. If you're spiritual, we're all God's children. Okay, fine. If you're atheist, you realize that genetically we are all related. Scientifically, we are all share the same DNA. We are all made from the same cosmic dust. We're made from the same cosmic material. And so if one of us fails, we all fail in some way, shape, or form. So I don't care what you believe. We all are a part of this world together. And if somebody dies, or if somebody falls, or if somebody suffers, then that is all of us suffering in some indirect way. So this is one of the reasons why I do this channel. Troy, I love what you said here. Only ego separates us. Look, we got to humble ourselves. You got two eyes, a nostril with a nose with two nostrils, two ears, a mouth. To say some of us who with exception of those of us who may have certain disabilities and ailments, but we are all born with these things, and we are all equal in this way. And to say that you do not deserve or need a barrier monetarily to healthcare, housing, food, water, protection, public safety, that's complete and utter bullshit. And so for people to say, like my representative Val Demings, that people deserve access to healthcare, access. I have access to a Bugatti, but it doesn't mean I can actually buy one. If I truly have healthcare as a human right, then that barrier of it being commodified should not be there. Because if you put commodity, make it commodified as a barrier, then therefore it was never a right to begin with. Because you put that barrier there. So it was never a right. If I truly have a right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, then I also have a right to things that facilitate that life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. What is a catalyst for life? Sustenance and food is a catalyst for life. Housing and shelter is a catalyst for life. Clean water is a catalyst for life. Healthcare is a catalyst for life. Adequate rest is a catalyst for life. These things are catalysts for life, so therefore they should not have a barrier between me having this life. And I know a lot of capitalists are probably going to be like, well, no, well, because you're interfering with other people's lives, because then they aren't going to have, they're not going to be able to afford it. Actually, no, we actually all could afford it because we pool all of our resources together. It rains on you without cost. The sun shines on you without cost. Plants grow for you without cost. You just leave the earth for what it is, and guess what? Food comes abundantly. You just leave the earth alone. The water cycle filters out the water. You leave the earth alone, and the sun shines on you. So guess what? What have you paid in order to get that? Absolutely nothing. Huh! Guess what? Why are we doing that? These are constructs that were created by humans in order to hold things over humans. God, I didn't even think I would actually get into this right now like this, but for some reason, it's just coming out. But the thing is that I am sick and tired of this rapacious, oppressive capitalist system that has brought people like me over here centuries ago and then subjected us to a system where we are seen as second-class citizens or even not even human. I am sick and tired of people who have been lied to, who migrate here under the guise of having a better life because of a system that has plagued them in their own countries. And now they're being seen and vilified by means of xenophobia. And basically, they're coming to this country basically as chickens come home to roost. And yet this country says, no, you can't come in, even though we fucked up your country. I am sick and tired of seeing a system where it treats our sisters, both cis and trans, as second-class citizens and not worthy of receiving the compensation equal to that of us, men. I am sick and tired of people who are like me that are disabled, who are constantly seen as people who need to disappear, to go away, simply because we simply cannot do all the same things that they can, and they diminish us by our human value because we can't create economic value like they can. This is the system that we live in. Desert Mantis, thank you. It is based on power. It's based on this. How can I put it? It's based on this warped sense that power should only lie with certain people and the others be damned because they are not worthy. Who are you to tell me if I'm not worthy? Who are you to tell the people that they're not worthy of wielding power collectively? Who are you? Because you were able to lie to them and exploit them? U.S. capitalism, not your garden variety of capitalism? No, it's capitalism in its purest form, and that's exactly what we're seeing. We're seeing capitalism fulfilled. That's exactly what it is. Capitalism basically is a system that, you know, if you're talking about commerce, that's a completely different thing. But capitalism? No. Capitalism you're seeing in its purest form. And so this is one of the reasons why Second Thought was actually speaking about how we use and co-op they use and co-op movements in order to defang and sterilize what we actually want and as far as our material conditions to improve. And this is also within the judicial system. Let me show this here. Oh, wait, let me do this. Sharing my screen. I'm sorry to subject you guys to this, but hey, I gotta do this. But you guys you'll see my reasoning why on the other side. This is what Hansy Uncle Joseph had to say.
The person I will nominate will be someone with extraordinary qualifications, character, experience, and integrity. And that person will be the first Black woman ever nominated to the United States Supreme Court. It's long overdue, in my view. I made that commitment during the campaign for president, and I will keep that commitment.
Clarence Thomas, Condoleezza Rice, Colin Powell, Barack Obama, Kamala Harris, black faces in high places. This is tokenism. This is tokenism as its highest order because who is he going to pick? Is it somebody that sees housing as a human right? Is it someone who says who sides with the people and workers in unions instead of corporations? Is it someone that sees healthcare as a human right and doesn't think that it should be commodified? Who is this black woman going to be? I'll say this. I would love a black woman to be on the Supreme Court. Love it. I want there to be a black woman. But which black woman? Because I'll be damned if I see a Candace Owens on the Supreme Court or a Kamala Harris. Because looking at what they believe and what they espouse, same old shit. Get me an Ella Baker, get me an Angela Davis, get me an Afeni on the Supreme Court. Then I'll be like, yes, 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 queen, yes. I'll be that all day. But it's not just about what they look like. It is about what they believe. And I think also that is insulting of Joe Biden to reduce the Supreme Court position to just a gender and a color. What do they believe? He's reducing a black woman to a token. He's basically saying, I put a black woman in the Supreme Court. Now shut up. That's what it is. He wants you guys to shut up. Because he wants another Muriel Bowser in the Supreme Court. That's what he wants. He wants another Barack Obama. He wants a Tim Scott. He wants a Candace Owens. He's okay with that because they maintain the status quo. That's what he wants. And people need to wake up to this. Let me go to the chat because I'm getting a little too in my feelings right now. We're moving up another field hand to the big house. Yeah. Yeah. Al Sharpton. They want Adana Brazil. Somebody who maintains the status quo. They want a Val Demings. By the way, she misplaced her firearm when she was a police officer. Somebody actually came into her squad car and stole her gun. That's actually a story. You're welcome, by the way. And it's tokenism. And I'm going to give you guys my predictions. By the way, one of two things is going to happen. One, Joe Biden is actually going to pick a Supreme Court justice. It's going to be a black woman. He's probably going to end up choosing her during Black History Month. See that tokenism? And she's going to be probably deeply pro-corporate, just like Ruth Bader Ginsburg. That's probably what he's going to end up doing. That might be what he ends up doing. Or you have the second option, which I think is probably the more likely option. He's going to make it so that he holds out and leaves the seat vacant, and that vacant seat is going to get held up over and over until 24, and then he is going to purposefully lose the election, and then a Republican comes in, and then they can choose a right-wing judge. It's going to be one of those things. Because they honestly really are just looking for status quo managers. The color doesn't matter anymore. Look, it doesn't matter. Robin Ryan says, I had a look at a trio of front runners. None of it good. See, what I tell you? Don't worry, Charlemagne the Dunce will do the Charleston on his show and talk about progress on the Supreme Court. Charlemagne, bruh, really? Are you part of that system too? I think you are. I think the money got you, bruh. Because let's be real. You when you ask Kamala Harris about who really is running the government, that was a good question. And then she got mad, right? She got super defensive. But then you kind of soften it up. Is it because you want to maintain that proximity so that you can do more shows and get and talk to her? Come on, man. And then you talk about, well, I think it's great. It's wonderful that we have a black woman vice president. And it's like, but have you noticed what she did? Talk to the people in California about what she did, man. I mean, yeah, of course, she's a black woman. Well, depending on the day, right? Because when she does things you like, then she's a black woman. But she does things you don't like, then well, she's Asian. But the thing is that when you voted for her, did you actually look at what she did? Did you look at what Obama did? Did you look at what Colin Powell did? Did you look at what Condi Rice did? Or were you just saying, yes, blackface in high place, let's go? Am I going to be proud of that black man on the horse with his whip next, next to the other overseer on the horse? Am I going to be proud of that? We caught another nigga. Yay, he caught me. Come on. Let's be real. It was never about actually improving our conditions. I would love somebody, whoever Joe Biden picks as Supreme Court justice, or whoever the nominees, ask them about reparations. Ask them. See what they say. Ask them about healthcare for all. See what they say. Ask them about housing for all. See what they say. Haven't heard a thing Harris has to say since she referred to the incarcerated as a very important labor pool. Slaves! Slaves! Y'all gonna make me lose my mind up in here. Up in here. Let me see. Y'all gonna make me lose my mind. Let me share my screen real quick. All right. If any of you guys are new to this channel, I'm going to show y'all something. Just Google it. 13th Amendment. Did you guys know that the 13th Amendment still allows for slavery? 13th Amendment, quote, shit, sorry, quote, neither slave nor involuntary servitude, except as a punishment for crime, except as a punishment for crime, except as a punishment for crime, whereof the parties shall have been duly convicted, shall exist within the United States or any place subject to their jurisdiction. Neither slave nor involuntary servitude, except as a punishment for crime. That means that slavery still exists in the United States. And please don't give me that. Well, they shouldn't have committed a crime. If they commit a crime, then that's what they get. That means you're okay with slavery. How does it feel? How does it feel to justify slavery? I would be okay with ratifying the 13th Amendment and taking that exclusion out. I'm sorry, that exception out. I forgot. Sorry, I worded it wrong. That exception does not deserve to be in the 13th Amendment. It should say neither slave nor involuntary servitude shall exist within the United States or any place subject to their jurisdiction. So the part, this part right there, shit. That part I highlighted right there should not exist. And yet it does. And yet we have people that are producing things for either little to no money within this country by force and by forced coercion for the profits of the rich. If that ain't slavery, I don't know what the hell to tell you. And that's what Kamala Harris was referring to. A black woman. I want to see a black woman in these positions. I do. But I want to see one that has the values of liberation, that has the values of wanting to make sure that everyone has housing, everyone has healthcare, everyone has good food, everyone has freedom of movement. Nobody is getting killed or bombed or sanctioned in other countries just because we want their resources. That's the type of person that I want. And people are going to get mad at me about this, and it's going to be whatever. But if you focus on the qualities that I listed, the identity will fill in the gaps. Because then, if you focus on, like, for instance, a justice that's about housing first and healthcare for all and things like that, throw a rock of people who believe in the values that I believe in, and you're going to hit a black person very easily. A black woman very easily. You'll find an indigenous woman very easily. You'll find a Latina woman very easily. You'll find some white people who do want these same things very easily. And guess what? You'll be able to have diversity as well as improving the material conditions of people. But they don't want to do that. Because when improving the material conditions of people, especially those of us who are oppressed, they do not care and they do not want it. Because in order for a capitalist system to function, you have to have poverty. Poverty is an integral part of a capitalist system. And don't you dare think that people like Joe Biden doesn't know this. Joe Biden has been in Congress and in government for 40 years. You don't think he doesn't know this? He may sound like someone who is sundowning right now, but go back about 10, 15 years, Joe Biden was smart as a whip. He was on it. And Joe Biden knew what he was talking about as far as the way the government works. So, guess what? He's not stupid. He knows exactly what he's doing. And that's what the scary part is. Let's go to the chat because I got about 15 minutes left. I'm cutting it off at 2 hours. She's Black says they're going to call this BS Black progress. And you know what? She's Black. I want you to confirm with me in the chat. Watch. All the Black people, watch. If he nominates a Black woman in the Supreme Court and she makes it as a justice, imagine, especially during February, how many ads you're going to see on Aspire, TV One, and BET talking about we got a Black woman on the Supreme Court. Watch. Without talking about her policies. They're going to be like, congratulations to so-and-so for making it as a justice on the Supreme Court. This is Black excellence in action. Watch. Quote me on it. Am I right? She's Black. Am I right? I told you. That's exactly what's going to happen because it's all about appearances. Mass media portray Biden has some kind of super kind grandpa. It's nauseating. He is not a super kind grandpa. The way he be sniffing little girls' hairs, he is not. No. No. So yeah, welcome to the Jaybefaunt channel. So nice to have you guys here. Oh my goodness! And if you guys have any questions for me for the last few minutes, then that's cool. I'll be free to answer them. But yeah, this is just a topic that I just had to bring up because I think that people need to know what's going on, and they can't just hear it from a there's I hate to put it this way, but saying some of the things that I said, if those of us, our allies that are white, would have said it, somebody like a Robert Durden, somebody like a Killjoy Meg, somebody like an Uncle Warren, somebody like help me out here, somebody like a Comrade Misty, if they would have said some of the things that I said, there would be so many liberals and so many people that will be quick to tell them that they're being prejudiced and use the R word against them. There'll be so many people that would say that, even if they're right on the merits, on what they will do for our material conditions. And so this is one of the reasons why people like me take up the mantle to talk about it. Because it's true. It's true. And I'm ashamed to say that some of these people who are the same skin tone as me are allowing themselves to be used as political pawns in order to basically say no to those of us who are disenfranchised. They're allowing themselves to be used in that way. Because the money's good. And it's like, wait, where are your values? Where is your integrity? Do you really care about this? And they'll think, well, in order for us to make that change, we have to do it. But then it's like, but wait a minute. Before all that, what were you doing before that? What was Kamala Harris doing before she got there? She was doing the same things that she's doing now. Kamala Harris done did all the same shit that she did in 1080p. She's doing in 4K. She's doing it the same. She's just doing it in different resolution. Nothing has changed. Nothing will fundamentally change. And the only way something will fundamentally change is if we cop up to what they're doing and we change course. Yeah, stay informed. And a lot of people talk about, well, I'm not into politics, and I just want to have a better life. Politics is life, fam. What they teach your kids in school, how clean your drinking water is, how the earth is operating, whether you get kicked out of your house or not, how you can afford health care when you really need it, how much they pay you on your job, whether you have rights on your job, how safe your car is when you're driving it, how safe the food you're giving your baby is, whether or not they're bombing people in countries. Politics is life, baby. And the thing is that that's how the world operates. And if you're going to shut yourself off from these things, I get it. It can be depressing. But at the same time, if you're wondering why is everything's going on, then you're going to have to come into the sphere and look at whatever everything that's happening. Raziel, I hate that you're right. I hate that you're right. I do. You are right, but I hate it. And that's a hard truth. It's hard to have integrity and values when your bills won't go away. It is hard. And look, agree with them or not, Jackson Hinkle just exposed Sam Cedar. And I couple this with that. It's hard to have integrity and values when your bills won't go away. The money was too good. And it's hard for people for some people to continue to challenge power when they're giving you that good, when that money is sweet, that sweet cash. Because now you can just avoid it, go on your vacations, go to your second home, buy that nice new car, put your kids through college. You can pay for your health care. But guess what? That's called individualism. Deeply individualistic. Because now it's like, I got mines. See, here's what they do. They see everybody suffering outside. They bring one person in. They're like, come here, you. They give you a bath. They give you a nice warm bath. They give you a massage. They put nice new clothes on you. And they sit you at the table with a feast. And they're like, go ahead, eat to your heart's content. Are you going to sit there and eat while all your brothers and sisters are outside, starving, dirty, sick? And you're just going to say, well, I'm doing this for me so that I can help them get better, instead of knocking that door down and taking what's rightfully ours. individualism. Individualism is going to be the death of us if we do not get rid of that part of it. So yeah, everybody, I just wanted to thank you. Um, I just want to. Oh yeah, a non-user. You said it. Brianna Joy Gray with Chris Hedges and Shama Sawant. Get out there, join real leftist organizations in real life. The revolution will take years, anyone not any one election cycle. Thank you so much. Very well said. I co-sign on that. Thank you. But yeah, I just want to thank everybody for tuning in today. This was a pretty decent show. My brain was actually working right today. Gosh, being on dialysis is difficult, people. I'm telling y'all, because sometimes my brain is so foggy that I can't come up with what I really want to say at the moment. And it's hard because I had dialysis yesterday. It was very robust. And I was like, you know what? I am sleeping all night long. And so that's exactly what I did. And so I just want to thank you all for tuning in today. All y'all for watching. Um, you know, uh, and Jordan, it's okay. You don't have. Please do not apologize. You're living your life, and that's a part of it. It's okay. It's on YouTube. You can keep watching afterwards. It's all right. But thank you so much. I appreciate your kind words. Um, and this is part of leaving the world better than we found it, right? Spreading the message, that's what I'm trying to do. I can only do so much. I can't do too much. But there's some of us who can do, different things for different people. Like Rome always says, and Rome is one of my heroes. There's a place for everybody in the revolution. There's a place for you and you and you. And I don't care if you're immunocompromised. I don't care if you don't have, working legs. I don't care if you suffer from anxiety. I don't care. Look, there is a place for you. There's a place for you, even if it's just to give a smile at somebody, to warm their heart, to make them feel better. There's a place for you. And oh, while I'm here, while I have you guys watching, do not, and I repeat this to you right now, you watching, yes, do not allow somebody to diminish your human value just because you don't produce profit. Do not let them do that. You are a human with priceless value, and you deserve happiness, and you deserve to live just because of you, by nature of you being a human being. You deserve housing, you deserve food, you deserve clean water. You deserve a healthy planet. You deserve to not be under threat by an imperialist government just because your country has resources. You deserve health care. You deserve all these things because you are a person. You deserve it. It's your right. And do not let anybody tell you otherwise. And just because you're not able to do some things at this point in time, and I'm also talking about people who are, I'm not just talking about people who are disabled. I'm talking about those of you who are perfectly healthy, able, who may be going through shit at this time. Same thing to you. You deserve it simply by virtue of you being a human being. And for anybody who tells you otherwise, they're full of shit. And tell them, no, I do deserve these things by virtue of being a human being. Because otherwise, then what would you be? Dead. So look, this is what this program is all about, right? And those of you who are in disenfranchised communities, just like I am, You deserve your liberation and deserves to be demanded. Because look, you're not going to sit here. You're not going to sit here and tell me that people don't deserve a liberation. Because the thing is that we have been going too long under oppression, and there are too many people who are going through shit to think that yeah, this is not normal. Going through a pandemic and billionaires double and triple their wealth over a pandemic. That is not normal. Not at all. I'm cool. I'm cool. So this is part of leave the world better than you found it. That's my doctrine. That is part my religion is love, compassion, and kindness along with justice. And if you want to impress me, policy that improves the material conditions of people. Don't give me no flowery words. Don't give me the word salad. If I really want salad, I'll go and make one myself. So once again, I'd like to thank people for watching. All of you, you beautiful, wonderful, brilliant people, and who are in the chat, and people who are commenting down below. People who like this video. If you dislike it for any reason, then you can let me know. But just because you dislike it doesn't mean I'm gonna like you anyway. But if you wish to support me further, then you guys can buy me a coffee. It's in the Chiron down below that is scrolling from left to right. You guys can buy me a coffee on coffee.com/Jaybefaunt. In fact, I'm going to share it just so that you guys know what it looks like. This is it. And by the way, yes, I know the head is cut off on the banner. I am not good at these things. Look, y'all, I need help. I am damn. Just damn, James. Damn. But it's the thought that counts, right? So yeah, look, this is what it is. And so if you guys like to do that, I also, if you guys don't feel like going that route, I'm thinking about getting myself a Patreon. I don't know, because Patreon they charge a lot. So I don't know if I'm gonna do a Patreon. But I also have my Cash App, my Venmo, and my PayPal in the description below if you guys want to do that too, whatever. If you don't, or if you just don't have it, that's okay too. I Look, this is free for everybody because I really just want you guys to have information. This is just for me to keep the lights on. But that's basically what I'm about. And love your fellow human beings. Doesn't mean you have to know them to love them, but just display that love and do what you can. So, in the spirit of how I always end this, I want to wish you wellness, peace, and love. And remember to always leave the world better than you found it. Love you.